Hey guys, welcome back to Bible from the Nuns. Today we're studying Proverbs chapter 10. Let's get started.
Okay, one of the things I've enjoyed about us reading through the book of Proverbs is that even when you have a chapter, and like chapter 10 that we're in today, it's got 32 verses in it. So what you really got there is 32 different opportunities to find something that you can kind of hang your hat on that day and pay attention to. One of the things that often happens when we're reading our Bible, John will read his Bible and he'll come in and he'll say, I don't know what I got out of all of that. And kind of what we try to do is say, well, John, why don't you go back and find one thing that interested you, one thing that you thought about, one thing that jumped out, one thing you have a question about. And in Proverbs, it's easy because every couple of lines is another one thing. And so these are meant to be not read really as a whole chapter. That'd be difficult to process through, but we're to think through these things individually. So we read the chapter, but we think through them individually. Now notice what it says in verse number 1. The Proverbs of Solomon. A wise son makes a glad father, but a foolish son is the grief of his mother. You know, whenever you're raising children, and me and Mom are raising children, right? Mm-hmm. When you're raising children, we cannot make you make the decisions we want you to make our whole lives. Now, there was a season of your life when you were very, very little. And you're even kind of still in it right now, where there's a lot of things we can make you do. And if you ask why, we can tell you, but ultimately we can just say, because we said so. So the Lord has put authority over you, and that's Mom and Dad right now. But one day you're going to grow up. So one day you're going to move out of the house, and one day you're gonna be making decisions on your own. And so we won't be able to control your decisions, but here's what we're going to do. It tells us here that the wise parents are the ones who will teach you how to live your life thinking about and filtering all your decisions on what does God say so that you make good decisions. That's the role of parenting. What the Bible does here, the Bible never tries to hide the fact that the wicked are sometimes going to look like they're succeeding, but in the end, it's all going to come back to bite them. Now, there's a lot of ways that this fleshes itself out. In verse number 9, it says, the wise in heart will receive commands. Now, here's what's interesting about that. A lot of times when people think about wisdom, they think wisdom happens in the brain. But wisdom doesn't happen in the brain. Smarts happen in the brain. Wisdom happens where?
In the heart.
That's right. So the wise in heart will receive commands. What does it mean to receive a command? It means to what?
Pay attention and obey.
To pay attention and obey. So there's some times where the Lord will try to tell us something, but we don't want it yet. We don't want to receive it. We don't want to accept it. We don't want to obey it. He says, but the wise in heart will receive commands. The prating fool, though, he's going to fall. Why? Because he didn't want to receive it. So in verse number 9, it says, he who walks with integrity walks securely. What's that mean? That means that when you walk in integrity, one of the benefits of walking in integrity is that you don't have anything to hide. One of the dangers of living a life where you constantly tell lies is that you got to have more lies to cover up your lies, and eventually you forget how many lies you've told, and now you can't cover them up. He says, but if you walk in your integrity, this is a key where you walk securely. Integrity is the mindset and the willingness to do what's absolutely, completely right as God defines it. In a way where if it was all revealed what you've done, you've got absolutely nothing to hide. Look in verse 11. It says, the mouth of the righteous is a well of life, but violence covers the mouth of the wicked. So growing up in Christ means the way we speak ought to be a blessing to others. Verse 17 says, he who keeps instruction is in the way of life. What does that mean? That means that man humbly learns and listens and applies. But he who refuses correction goes astray. Oh, why would he refuse correction? Because he's so prideful, he thinks he's already got it figured out. When I read like verse 16, it says, the labor of the righteous leads to life, and the wages of the wicked lead to sin. What I thought about there, and I just wrote this in the margin of my Bible, I wrote this. I said, today I want to be able to handle every conversation, every interaction, every decision, every activity righteously in the eyes of God so that it would bear much fruit. Why? How do you do that though? You got to stay on top of it moment by moment. The branch has to abide in the vine. That's how that happens. John, what'd you get from all this?
So, my takeaway comes from verses 18 and 19, and it says, "The one who conceals hatred is lying lips. Whoever spreads slander is a fool. When there are many words, sin is unavoidable. But there's one who controls his lips is prudent." And so this is kind of talking about like the words that we say and come out of our mouth really do matter, because wisdom doesn't happen in the brain, it happens in our heart and through our actions. And
hey, listen, if it happens in the heart, where does it come out?
No.
That's it. You're exactly right. All right, keep going.
And yeah, that. And then in James 1:19 says, "My dear brothers and sisters, understand this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger." And this is kind of relatable to Proverbs 10, 18, and 19, because it's telling us how we should speak. And yeah.
That's good. So there's the way that the wise speak, and there are the ways that the unwise speak. Here's what I wrote down next to verse 19. Far too often, we're too quick to talk about what is unkind, unwise, and ungodly, and we're often too slow to talk about what's encouraging, what's joyful, what's helpful, and what's holy. But here's the deal. You're not going to meet anybody today that's going to be suffering from too much encouragement. So as you speak wisdom, speak kindness, speak encouragement, and speak the way of Jesus in everything you do. And I think that's the wise way to go. We'll see you tomorrow in chapter number 11. Bye.
Bye.